Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm SD2 Production, aka Cthulhu wearing a cardigan, and I'm here to talk about the Dragon Ball FighterZ closed beta. Now I'm going to be breaking it down into 3 points. One is aesthetics, second is matchmaking, and third is gameplay. As for aesthetics, it takes the Dragon Ball theme pretty seriously, and I think at first glance you can see that the animations look fantastic. Everything looks wonderful, the in-game menus are fantastic, the overall lobbies are cute and interesting, and I don't think this is too surprising seeing how Arc System works. If you know how they've been handling the Guilty Gear series and the BlazBlue series, you know they have a fantastic track record of doing some great 3D animations. That being said, the overall layout is pretty nice. The music is fantastic. I hope that we get some pretty interesting themes in there. Obviously, Het Shala, Dragon Ball Z Kai's opening, along with Super's opening, would be fantastic to hear in this game at some point, maybe in the in-game menu, I don't know. But it overall looks great. That being said, let's go into matchmaking. Matchmaking was actually fantastic. The way that it works is that you choose your region, and then a sub-region, and then from there, that sub-region actually has a multitude of rooms dedicated to it. So there are either 8 or 10 rooms that you can join, and they hold about 64 players, which I think is fantastic. With the way that the lobby system sort of works, where you're kind of picking your avatar character and running around and talking to NPCs, I think this is the best way to do it, especially with 64 characters, because there is a chat system. And that chat system would be completely useless if there was over 100 characters in this lobby. 64 allows you the opportunity to talk to individuals, and it also creates some pretty interesting rivalries if you join the same rooms over and over and over. And I think that is a really cool and interesting thing to do. I think Arc System has something pretty cool here, along with also giving you the opportunity to fight against other regions. I think that's also pretty cool. So overall, the matchmaking is fantastic. The way that the in-game matchmaking works is that you go to the NPC player that basically sends you into the battle arena. You're in standby mode with your standby team that you can customize beforehand, and basically you wait for an opponent. When the opponent finally comes, there will be a question asking you yes or no, and it will show the fighter's name and their internet signal. That is great. Giving you that option and giving you the opportunity to see that is important, because you don't want to play laggy matches. Loading into the battle itself, the gameplay is fantastic. There is a meter on the top of the timer that shows you frame delay, and I think this is really important. So far throughout the entire closed beta, since I was picking the West Coast rooms, I really didn't have that much lag. There were about 1 or 2 matches that I did have some spikes that did reach about 10 to 13 to 15 at one point. But overall, all my matches were about 3, 4, and 5, which are great. The matchmaking was fantastic, the way that the games load, the gameplay itself, the introductions and outros, you can usually pick to skip them, you or your opponent, or you can watch them because they are awesome. The gameplay itself is very simplistic. The input system is pretty simple. All the characters have very simple ones, and pretty much similar inputs, honestly. If you're a casual player, and obviously they've thought about you because this is a Dragon Ball IP, obviously. If you're a casual player, don't worry, the learning curve is fast. Since this was a closed beta going into it, you were fighting against other opponents, which meant that you were pretty much already fighting against people, and if you had no idea how to play the game, you were going to get bodied. But that learning curve is important. Losing is a part of learning, and this game has a pretty high learning curve, a pretty fast one, honestly, because almost immediately I was able to understand exactly how everything kind of worked, and overall everything kind of fit together. That being said, there are some pretty interesting mechanics and systems for specific characters, so if you're a competitive player, there's some stuff here that you can work with. Honestly, I found myself using some pretty interesting things and was kind of surprised at how much customization could be used to your benefit, and I think that's another thing to keep in mind. Since this is a 3-on-3 game, you have to think about your team, about your individual characters, and of course, who you're fighting against. And that's overall the best thing about this game, and fighting games in general, honestly. It's skill versus skill. How much time you put into creating that skill is completely up to you. I honestly see this game becoming a huge competitive game, and I also see it being a loose kind of casual game for people who are just interested in Dragon Ball. And if you are just interested in Dragon Ball, then this is a great game to jump into. And if you are interested in getting into the competitive scene, this is also a great game to come into. That being said, the overall game was fantastic. As for gameplay, I have no complaints. Honestly, just balance the game, make sure that it runs well, and the matchmaking is fantastic. There's really no problems that I can see with this game so far, and I'll leave it at basically naming my main team, which was Goku, Trunks, and Android 18. Goku is basically the Ryu of this game, honestly. He is a pretty simple character. He even has a Tatsu. So he was a pretty easy character to understand right off the bat. Trunks is a little technical. He does have swordplay and quite a lot of interesting things going on in his gameplay. Android 18 has a grapple system, has a continued assist character. There's a lot of things going on with her. She's not extremely technical, but you definitely have to have some time with her to kind of understand how she plays. But so far, that is my main team. Obviously, things will change when the final game arrives, which I'm excited to finally get my hands on, and definitely there will be an arcade run that I will put out when that game does. That being said, thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you next time.